We're going from a world of black and white to a world filled to the brim with some of the most vibrant colors you can imagine. We're also going from a game where the story felt like it was holding the gameplay on a leash, to a game where it's about the gameplay and the gameplay alone. Get yourselves ready for some of the most intense frisbee throwing you've ever seen, because it's not going to let up until the ride is over. This is Windjammers 2. Much like the previous game I reviewed, Windjammers has a dynamic anime art style, though it takes it in a much more vibrant direction. As opposed to the manga-inspired black and white color scheme of Wolfstride, Windjammers has intense, vibrant colors in the menus, the environment, the characters, everything. It's a whirlwind of colors that, combined with the active music and the arcadey sound effects, really gets you hyped up to actually play the game. My only real complaint is that the colors can sometimes feel too intense during actual gameplay. I can definitely see this game being difficult to understand from an observer's standpoint and from a player's standpoint, as sometimes all the colors and effects going off can get distracting given the small size of the disc you're supposed to keep track of, which makes it a little bit difficult to actually play the game.
Miss 2 points.
As for the story, what? Did you think this game actually had a story? Yeah, there's barely anything resembling a story in this game. All that you really get is that you're playing as one of a variety of eccentric characters who have all gathered to participate in the Windjammers Championship to determine who the best competitor in the world is. And that's really it. The single player mode doesn't really have a story beyond that. You pick a character and play through rounds until you reach the championship match. It's not called arcade mode for nothing. So, given the lack of a story, let's talk about that gameplay.
3 points. 3 points.
¡Listo! ¡Ponte al piso! ¡Listo! ¡Listo! ¡Tiro con perfecto!
Miss 2 points.
¡Es mío!
Set. Game set.
The gameplay is, of course, the real meat of this game given its very arcadey nature. It's a fast-paced game that's structured like tennis, except instead of a tennis ball being hit across the court, it's a frisbee disc being rather aggressively thrown around like that one Tron game. To score points, you need to throw your disc into the opponent's net, and this is where we start getting into the variety of this gameplay already, in the form of the maps. The game has a variety of maps to choose from, but unlike, say, most fighting games, the maps aren't just cosmetic changes made to fit a character theme. Each map has something different that can make you rethink your tactics in some way, even just a little. For instance, some maps have blocks in the middle that can impede your throwing patterns, forcing you to change your positioning or how you throw. On one map, in fact, those blocks, whenever you hit them, move around a little bit, making it a bit more dynamic. Most maps also have their nets changed in some way to alter your scoring strategy. Your goal is to get 15 points or more before your opponent, and as I said before, you score those points by getting the disc into the opposing net. The net, however, is colored red and yellow. Hitting the red part gives you 5 points and hitting the yellow gives you 3. The net colors change depending on the map, or in the case of the casino map, the disc itself determines the point value. And that's just the maps. Each character differs in terms of how fast they are and how powerful their throws are, as well as their own special moves. Combine that with their altered movesets and throwing techniques, and you got a good variety of ways to play the game. I tend to prefer more middle ground characters though. Powerful characters feel too slow to me, and fast characters feel too hard to control, but I can see the potential in both. All in all, I can say I don't really have any complaints here. Even the online functions pretty well. It's just fun. And that's really Windjammers 2 in general. It's a long-awaited sequel to a cult classic game, and personally I think it delivers very well on continuing the Windjammers franchise. It's just a really fun game. There's not too much to talk about here, it's just fun. And sometimes we need that. Here's hoping this one gets a few more eyes on it. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. And lastly, a special thank you shout out to my Patreon with a $5 a month pledge is Scarlet. Thank you for the $5.